Hello there and welcome to Lower 6th Further Maths A-Level Pure Core Past Paper, June 2012. Here we're looking at the summation question on question 4 from June 2012, question 4 FP1. So we have to prove this summation formula. So the first thing I'm going to do is write that down. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to split these different parts up into separate summations. So it's the sum of r cubed plus 6 times the sum of r, take away the sum of 3's. So the next thing we need to do is to write out the formulas for all of these corresponding terms. So the first one, the sum of r cubed, is in the formula booklet, n squared over 4 m plus 1 squared. The next one isn't in the formula booklet, but it's the square root of this one here. So that's 6n over 2 m plus 1. And the next one, it's not quite a formula, but if you add n lots of 3 together, you're going to get minus 3n. Okay, so the next stop here is where I need to create common denominators in all of my terms to create a factorizing step that's easier for me. So I've got a 2, a 4, and effectively a 1 on the bottom of that last one there. The common denominator there is going to be 4 that I'm going to make. So keep the first one the same. Now if I want a 4 on the bottom of the second one, I need to double the top, so I get 12 m plus 1, and if I want to create a 4 on the bottom here, I'm going to need to put a 12 there as well. Right, the next thing is the big factorizing step. So I pull out as many of the algebraic factors as I can from my brackets and my terms and divisors as well. So I pull out a 4, I can see that n is in common in all three terms. n plus 1 is nearly in all three terms, in the first and second, but not the third, so I can't factorize that out. What I've got left is an n and an n plus 1 squared. Then I've got a 12. Already pulled out the n and the 4, so it's going to be n plus 1. And take away the 12 at the end. Right, the next thing that I need to do here is to expand the brackets and see what I've got left and simplify. So n cubed plus 2n squared plus n plus 12n plus 12 minus 12. Okay, let's simplify what we've got inside there again. So n cubed plus 2n squared plus 13n. Let's just have a brief look at what we've got to turn it into. So we're nearly there. All we've got left now is to just pull out one of these n's to the front. Yeah, you can see here that the 12 and the minus 12 have cancelled out. So it'll be n squared plus 2n plus 13. Great, so that's what we need for part A. Let's move on to part B. It's a summation from 16 up to 30 of r cubed plus 6r minus 3. And in fact, you can do the majority of this on your calculator. So what you need to do is turn your calculator on and hit shift and then the top right hand button underneath on. So it's a yellow summation series. And all you need to do here is move the up and down buttons to hit the right places, hit a 16 and a 30, and then unfortunately you can't use r in your expression here. You just have to use x, which is fine. Use the x button that you've already hit the top right. X cubed plus 6x minus 3 equals that. So that's going to be how we're going to check our answer. What we have to do here is, it's a couple of marks, so we need a bit of working. What we need to do here is split up the r equals 16 of our function. Now our formula here only works if we start at the value r equals 1. So we need to split it up into two separate series, both starting at 1. And let's think about it. If I wanted to add together, let's just do straight all of the numbers from 1 up to 30, then I would, or from 16 up to 30, but I only had a formula that worked from 1 up to 30 or 1 up to something, then I would need to do the addition of all of those terms from 1 up to 30, take away the summation of all of those terms up to 15, and then I've only got left the summation from 16 up to 30. So I need to add together all of my terms up to 30 and take away all of the terms down to 15, and this is of whatever function I'm working with. So what I can then do is I can then substitute in 30 and 15 into my formulas that are here. So a quarter of 30 squared plus 2 lots of 30 plus 13, take away a quarter of 15 squared, bracket 15 squared plus 2 lots of 15 plus 13. And then all you need to do there is plug that into your calculator and you should get the same answer that you do here. 203,850. That's your 2 marks for the second bit, 7 marks in total.